how many of you here are on Facebook? If I could just get a show of hands. Okay, great. Now, if I could ask you, are you on Facebook? Put up your hand if you're on Facebook for recreational purposes mainly. Okay. There, about 30%. Now that are doing it for business. Great. Now keep your hand up if you're making 5 figures a month from Facebook. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Because, see, I think that Facebook has been given a really bad name, and that is that it's a time waster. Yeah? I know many people that are spending hours and hours, day after day, on Facebook and not getting any traction from their action. So what I'm here to teach you today is actually how you can make money from it. Because really, at the end of the day, I'm not a Facebook guru. I'm a smart businesswoman, and I'm a marketer. And so the reason why I've got onto Facebook is not particularly because I love it, it's because it adds another marketing spoke to my marketing wheel. So if you use Facebook strategically, you can definitely make money from it. In fact, I would go as far to say that 95% of my income comes from Facebook. I sold my business last year, my offline business, because I could see the potential of working online. And I'm just about at the stage where my online income is replaced my offline income. And I've run a multi-million-dollar business for the last 20 years. So I'm just giving you some evidence that if you do it properly, with some strategy, you too can make money from it. And I don't know if you've heard the analogy that when a rocket ship takes off and goes through the stratosphere and lands on the moon, it uses 80% of its fuel in the takeoff. Did you know that before it goes through the stratosphere? Then it only needs another 20%. Where people are getting Facebook wrong is that they're using all this time and energy but have got nothing left for the strategy. And so for me, it's all about if you get the strategy right, you can really learn how to leverage Facebook to build your brand and to propel your profits. So I'm here for a good time, not necessarily a long time. We've got about 60 to 90 minutes together. So why am I calling it How to Flirt and Convert on Facebook? Because I kind of look at Facebook a bit like dating. You know, you've got to learn to flirt and build rapport and build a relationship before you convert and ask someone to go out on another date with you. Well, Facebook is very much like that. It's another animal. And where people are failing on Facebook is that they're either being unprofessional or they're trying to convert too quickly, and the customer or the potential client is saying, you haven't built rapport with me. So today's presentation that I'm going through with you, it forms part of my one-day program on Facebook business marketing that I'm running in Sydney on the 16th of September. So I'm going to let you know that at the end of this, you're going to have an opportunity to work with me for one day. Whose phone's ringing? Oh, I love that. I normally say, whoever's phone rings has to shout me a drink at the bar afterwards. So there's a glass of champagne coming up. So I am going to be teaching you about Facebook, but if you want to learn more, then at the end of the program, I'm going to tell you about a one-day program I am running in Sydney on the 16th. Is it the 16th or the 14th? That's right, Melbourne's the 16th, so I've got the 14th. In actual fact, it's interesting how Sean and I met was through Facebook. And I was in Thailand last month and New Zealand. I'm going off to London, back to Thailand in November. And the people that have hired me to come in and talk have all met me on Facebook. Some of them haven't even met me in real life yet, but they've hung out with me on Facebook. So there's the potential. All of a sudden, you as a local person can become very much an international global business, all from the comfort of your laptop or your iPhone. So let's get into it. Now, I've got a really embarrassing confession to make. My little clicker, you know those clickers? I was sitting down this morning rehearsing my presentation over a bowl of cornflakes, and I had my laptop on my knee and the cornflakes on the other one, and the clicker went into the cornflakes. So it was a kind of milky and it was malfunctioning, so I'm going to be using my finger instead, if you don't mind, versus a wonky, wet clicker. Okay, so this could happen to you. If you are using and just relying on traditional space ads, yellow pages, traditional advertising in the paper, you could potentially be left behind, okay? You could be crushed by your competitors. And the reason why this is happening is that where the eyeballs are going, so are the opportunities. And we know that the eyeballs are online at the moment. You've only got to look at how quickly the iPad sold, the iPhone, obviously laptops, Mac computers. Everyone is going online. So I personally, do I love Facebook? Do I love social media? No, I don't, but I love the opportunities and the sales that it creates for me. So I'm not for one moment suggesting that you throw everything to the wind that you've done offline, but you now need to start to incorporate an online presence in your bucket, in your marketing toolkit. And if you're just using the yellow pages, then I believe that you could be left behind. And in fact, I'm going to make a really, really bold, provocative statement. I even think that websites are old news. Okay, I'm going to explain why. So just sit with this at the moment, because I'm sure there's some people that will probably be speaking over the next 9 days on websites, but some of them I think are talking on blogs, which I would not consider a blog to be a website, because there is a dynamic relationship going on there. But I truly believe that even some websites are old news. Now remember, who here has spent, and I'm going to be one of the embarrassing ones, so I spent 15 grand on my first website, and all it was a glorified electronic brochure that my son and husband thought looked beautiful, but it didn't really do much for anyone else. How many of us have spent money on putting websites up, but they really aren't creating a lot of traffic for us? They're just a great place to send people to check out how good you are and your About Us page and your products and services. So I'm here to explain to you why I even think that websites are old news. Yellow pages, the good old yellow pages. I mean, how much money were they? I mean, I think I remember my first yellow page ad cost $15,000. So if you are using the yellow pages now as a part of your business, I want to ask you this question. When was the last time you picked up the physical yellow pages to look for a phone number or a business? We even go to the yellow pages online, correct? I use my yellow pages in my office to pop my laptop on. It's about a nice size, it's sort of at the right level for me. That's about all they're good for opening up a door. So I truly believe that the yellow pages are deceased. And that anyone that's been charged thousands of dollars for yellow pages, come and see me. I can gladly set you up in a fan page for $1,000 that can help you turn over 5 figures a month versus the yellow pages ad that will be just great for helping you in your office to pop your monitor on. Okay, so static websites are dead. Now what I mean by static is that they don't move. So you have to think about this. You've found someone that's interested in your products and in your services, and then you send them to your website. Now what happens is it's like sending someone to a brick wall, because a lot of the time the reason why a person, a potential customer, was interested in you in the first place was because of your engagement, because of your rapport, because of your expertise. So why is it that you would engage with someone, have them so juiced up, ready to buy from you, and you go and send them to a site that's a brick wall, where they have no ability to engage with you real time, they have no ability to touch and feel, they have no ability to see what anyone else is thinking of you in real time. A static website, meaning one that does not change versus a blog, is dead. And if it's the only form of online marketing that you are doing, you are really going to do it tough. It's going to be hard to start driving traffic, leads and sales without something a little bit more dynamic. So I'd like to introduce you now to what I'm calling the new media revolution. And this is what I think is happening out there at the moment. Now remember, the internet is only a baby. It hasn't been around for very long. Social media in a lot of ways is still in its infancy. And people say, Kylie, you're a social media Facebook guru, and I would say, no, I'm not. I'm a Facebook experimentalist. None of us can call us a guru. It's only 5 years old and we're still learning what works. I have worked out, I believe, the formula that's working at the moment. Now, it may not be that in years to come that Facebook is the place to be, but it is at the moment. And I've got proof that it is not a fad and it is not going away. So I'm not going to go into all of the social media in length because I know you've got some amazing speakers coming in over the next 9 days. But I believe it's important for me to put into context the top 4 that you have no choice in being in. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of social media sites and platforms out there, but this is the top 4. So the first one, obviously, is YouTube. And for those of you that are coming back later in the week, you've got Steve Rossman coming in on video marketing. He's a friend of mine. He's an amazing man, and he's going to talk to you more about video marketing. What I love about video marketing, someone like me can now call herself the web celeb, and I run a weekly web TV show on a Thursday night for no money. For me, I've been on many television shows, and to buy TV space, just to get a 10-minute episode on one of those 9 a.m. shows will cost you $250,000, just to get a 10-minute mainstream TV. I was in New York last year, I was invited to speak over there, and I got invited to speak on a web show in New York. And this lady came up to me and she said, "Oh, I run a web-based TV show called sheknows.com. Would you like to be a guest on our show?" And I said, "Oh, I don't mean to be rude, but it would depend on how many viewers that you've got." And she said, 16 million a month. And I thought, I'm on the show. Can you see, that's nearly, the Australian population is 24 million, and this web-based TV show has 16 million. Every single one of you in this room has the ability to be a guru, a rock star in your chosen niche, thanks to video. In fact, research tells us that anyone that watches a video that has a call to action in it, 52% of people take action. That's a pretty powerful conversion. So if you're not using video in your marketing mix, it is something that you need to consider. It will put your growth online on steroids. You've seen the stats here, I don't need to go through them with you, other than this last one here to say that Google owns YouTube. So whenever you put video out, you are getting a rite of passage because Google and YouTube obviously are the same company. So you get two bangs for your buck. So YouTube, Steve Rossman will go through that in more detail with you next week. The next one is Twitter. Now Twitter is a different animal in itself, and I believe on Twitter that we have far more permission to be overtly marketing our products and services. The Twitter community don't mind as much that you're putting a little URL in the tweet that you're sending out. It is very different to Facebook, and if you try and use the same strategies that you've been using on Twitter, on Facebook you will fail. The Facebook community are about authenticity, integrity, depth, contribution to the community, and then they'll buy from you. But you don't sell to the Facebook community, they buy from you. Very different. The Twitter community is a lot more open to selling and floating your wares. So the next one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a phenomenal network platform, social media platform for business to business. The difference with a LinkedIn profile versus maybe a Facebook profile is it's very hard to break in to the LinkedIn community unless you are personally invited. For example, on Facebook, you can friend request anyone, and the majority of the time they'll probably accept your request. On LinkedIn, if you weren't introduced by someone else, it's nearly like when you go to those networking events where you've got to be sponsored in or invited in. LinkedIn community is very much like that as well. So they won't let you in unless someone in their community invited you. But it's a phenomenal tool for business-to-business relationships, and I use this a lot with my corporate clients to do recruitment, posting recruitment jobs and ads up on LinkedIn. And the last one, which is my absolute favourite, and the one that I spend most of my time on, and that is Facebook. I keep updating these slides on a weekly basis because the stats keep increasing. At the moment, there are 600 million users on Facebook. There's 1 million a week signing up, and in Australia there's 6 million people on Facebook, active users. And you think about that. Take away the little kids and take away the elderly, every person is on Facebook. So when you've got that many eyeballs online and you see the opportunity that you have to build your brand and propel your profits using Facebook. We know that if it was a country, it'd be the third largest country in the world, and in the last week of March 2010, Facebook had more searches on it than Google. And in fact, Google came out in the paper a couple of weeks ago saying, for the very first time, we now have competition, and it's called Facebook.